Welcome back to the Keeping Dream Alive podcast. Today I have the opportunity to sit down with Andrea Beasinger of Torch Technologies. I'm excited to talk a little bit about the Employee Ownership Culture Committee. To get us started, what is the primary purpose of this committee?
So the primary purpose of the Employee Ownership Committee, or EOCC, is really just to make sure that we're cultivating a employee ownership mindset with the employee base. We want to make sure that they understand their responsibilities and what that means to work in a company that is employee owned, and then what they can do to contribute to its successes and share in its gains.
Yeah, and so as far as I know you have kind of three pillars of the committee, and then, but I mean, as Torch is continuing to grow, people are always asking, maybe how can I join this committee? What does that sort of process look like, and how are employees eligible to be a part of this committee?
Yeah, so typically, the way that employees are, we use a nomination process. The nominations can come from their supervisors, from another employee owner, or somebody on the committee. We typically do a 3-year term, and once that 3-year term is over, then we will solicit nominations from the company. We ask everybody who is interested, to definitely put their name in, and then the employee or the EOCC will just help to select the next people who will come on to be on the board.
Yeah, and so talk a little bit about how this committee is contributing to building this strong ownership culture, because I know that it's the underlying theme of everything we talk about is being an employee owner and this committee is really trying to cultivate that and educate on that. Talk a little bit about some of those contributing things that y'all do to help build this culture.
Yeah, so basically what we do is, you mentioned the 3 pillars, and those are to energize our base, making sure that they understand how they create and they help to sustain our employee ownership culture. And we also want to empower them. And so the way we do that is want to make sure that they have that they have the ability to have their voices heard. And so one of the things that we do is about once a quarter, we do lunch with the president. So Brad Walker will sit down with a small group of employees, and it gives them the opportunity to talk to him, but it also allows him the opportunity to kind of share what he's learned and what he sees the future of the company and how the employee ownership mindset just helps to contribute to that. And lastly, we want to educate all of the employees, so they understand what is an ESOP, and then what does it mean to be an employee-owned company, and what are those benefits, and lastly, what are their responsibilities.
And besides this, the lunch with Brad Walker is always it's probably a hit. Every time we have Brad on the podcast every year, kind of highlighting what's going on, those episodes always do really well. Talk about some of the other events or activities that are done throughout the year to kind of, create this culture, energize, empower, and all the other pillars that are important with this committee for the future of Torch.
Yeah. So one of the things, well, there's multiple things that we do. Probably the thing that the EOCC is most well known for is our ESOP's basic class. And so what that is intended to do is really just to give new employees, but also people who have been there for a while, it just gives them a crash course in what is our ESOP, what are the details of the plan, just so they fully understand, what is going into it. I mentioned the lunch with the president. We also do what we call deep dives, and deep dives are basically once a quarter we let different groups or different business units come and present to it's kind of like a lunch and learn, but they come and present to all the employees. They talk about who are their customers, what type of work they're doing, and really the intent is to to let everybody know what is going on. So if an employee has a skill set that would be useful, we can start to synergize, among the company and make sure that, from a company standpoint, we are providing, the best to our customers.
Yeah, and especially as Torch has grown so much over the last couple of years, that's an important aspect of the committee is being able to, you can't necessarily know what's going on at all times in all these different departments. And so stuff like that allows kind of that, like you said, that synergy where it's like, oh, I didn't know we did that. And that's really like, I maybe went to school for that specifically, and I didn't know Torch is doing that, or I didn't know this department was doing that. And it allows for, y'all to deliver the best results to your clients.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about, if someone's listening, if they're an employee, maybe they just started, or maybe like you said they've been at Torch for a little while. How can they get involved? Where's the best place to sort of find out about these events? Maybe even if they say, hey, I want to be part of this committee, what is the best point of action to make that possible?
Sure. So, definitely look at all your emails, any notifications that come out for signing up for an EOCC sponsored thing. Definitely attend the ESOP's basic class. And I would encourage every employee, if they have somebody who is coming to work for the company that has never been to that, bring them as a guest. And then, that what that does is it allows the person who's new to come in and hear the information, but then they can also ask questions of somebody who's been with the company for a while. So I definitely encourage, people who have been with the company for a little while to seek out a new employee and bring them to the ESOP's basic class, or encourage them to participate in any of the events, because the more that we get together and socialize, it's easier for us to talk about and ask questions that maybe we didn't know to think about. But if they're interested in joining the committee, or they just have a question, the best way to reach out is to send an email to eocc@torchtechnologies.com.
Awesome. Yeah. And we'll be sure to have everything in the episode notes. It's incredible to see these different committees and these different organizations within Torch that really help ultimately cultivate employee ownership and cultivate an environment that's much more than just your job. It's this family atmosphere. It's these different events that you do. And we've talked to a variety of these different organizations, but I appreciate you taking the time to talk a little bit about the EOCC. And we'll be sure to have everything in the episode notes.
All right. Thank you very much.